So in this video, we will learn about for else in Python. In most of the programming languages like C, C++ or Java, the use of else statement has been restricted with the if condition statement, conditional statements, right? But Python also allows us to use the else condition with for loops. For example, there is a list calls or you can say numbers. Numbers equals to some random numbers. For example, 23 comma 40 comma 54 comma, okay, it is repeated again, okay, yeah, and then yeah, so that's enough. And now suppose you want to print the number which is divisible by 10. So for that you will just write like this: for number in numbers, if number is divisible by 10, then print number, and else do nothing. So if you run this cell, you will see this 40 is printed because this 40 is divisible by 10 out of other numbers. Now let's suppose if there are two numbers which is divisible by 10. For example, if I change this 26 with 100, and if I rerun this cells, you can see both the number is printed. And suppose you don't want to print which one comes at first, that means you want to print only one number. So in this case you want to print only 40. So for that we will just use the break statement, right? So actually we already learned about the break statement in our previous video. So we will use the break statement so that after it finds only one value, it will break the overall loop and it will not run the loop again. So when the number is 23, it will run this cell and it finds out that number is not divisible by 10, and it will rerun this loop and the number becomes 40, and then after that number is divisible by 10, it will print number and it finds out break. That means it will totally break the loop and it will not run again. That means 5468 will not run in this loop. Okay, so if I run this cell, yeah, so now you can see it printed 40, right? Now what if there is no number that is divisible by 10? For example, it is 43 and this is a 67, and if you run this cell and run this cell, it printed nothing. So in that case we will use else statement, right? So that will come in mind first. So else print nothing is divisible by 10, and if you run this cell, it will print nothing is divisible by 10 5 times, which we don't want, right? So if like it will check all the numbers. If it finds out like there is no number that is divisible by 10, it will print the nothing is divisible by 10 only one time. We don't want it 5 times, right? So in that case we will use this else statement, not with the if statement. We will use this else statement with the for loop, right? So we will just backspace the indentation and here also, and if you run this cell, now you can see it is printing only one time. Now suppose again there are one number which is divisible by 10, and if you run this cell, it printed 10, it will not run this else statement. And if there is another number, and it will run only one time, and if there are no number that is divisible by 10, it printed nothing is divisible by 10. So in this way you can use the for and else statements together.